Talking to Nikki or the dog? You're talking to Nikki or the dog? Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Big warm welcome to everybody. So wonderful to see so many new friends of the church in here today. We sincerely hope that you find something within this church, within this service, within the presentation today that you are looking for. And we earnestly mean that. Please, to all the new people in today and the established people, if you've got questions, please ask them after the service. Because no question is daft if you don't know the answer. And nobody got to where they are without asking questions. So lecture over. Now we let the magic begin. So welcome, and welcome to David. David Powell, who is a certificate holder with the Spiritualist National Union. I won't say which certificates because I always get it wrong, but I believe it is in evidential mediumship, speaking and healing.
That's correct.
Yes! Finally got it right. David, looking forward to your service today. Thank you, sir. Just a quick little note. We have become accustomed nowadays, after the address, to give a round of applause. I do know this isn't to David's liking, and that's no offence, because I saw him wince the last time, so you can do a spiritual wave instead, all right? So wonderful. We do like the applause because it does bring everybody in, but it's not to everybody's taste, and that's absolutely fine, because we celebrate the individuality. I'm going to shut up. Yay! that normally gets a round of applause. And I'm going to hand over to David. Hand over to David now for the opening prayer. Thank you, David.
Well, good morning, friends.
Good morning.
Oh, you can do better than that, can't you?
Yeah.
Good morning, friends. Hey! Let's take a few moments now. Let's just join with one another and the power of that great Spirit. Great Spirit of love and light, we give thanks as we join here this morning in this sacred space, in this sacred and most wonderful moment in time, where we allow the memory of those who have gone before us, those of our family, of our friends, of our acquaintances. We allow the memory of those people to fill our hearts, our minds, and our beings. That the memory held in that essence of love may overflow and perfume this very room. That in and through that power of love, that they may draw close, that they may share this time, this moment with us, so that there may be that true communion of the Spirit, where those messages may be given to demonstrate that great and eternal truth, that there is no death but that of the body. We think also of those ministering guides and helpers who enable and empower that communion, and who come forward on your behalf with your words of inspiration, of upliftment, and of truth. And we welcome them here amongst us, asking that each person here present may be touched in some way by your light and by your love. And so now, as always, Great Spirit, we leave this service in your care and in your keeping, knowing that as we do so, that all that will be said and done will be in accordance with your light, your love, and your truth. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, David. And now, if you care to, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thine will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And leave us not when in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you. And we now bring our thoughts, our hearts, our mind, our very intent into the art of healing. Healing is an ability that everybody has. Healing is a reflection of that divine thread which runs through all things. Healing is just sending out love. For what is pure love but healing? For it is giving of self without want, without reward, but just giving in the love and joy of healing. So we invite you during this time to send out your thoughts, your prayers to wherever you are drawn, be it the environment, the animal kingdom, friends, nations, and including ourselves, because so often we give and never think to ask to receive. And during this time, we also invite you, if there is anybody in particular who you know is in need of that healing balm, and again, including ourselves, just raise your hand, and when I point to you, simply call out their name. The intelligence of spirit understands the intent and the will behind and will act accordingly. So enjoy this time of peace, contemplation, meditation, and most of all, of healing. Thank you. Jeanette. Moira and Tony. Divine and infinite Spirit, we thank you for this time of healing and this constant reminder that we are all healers with the ability to share that gift, that knowledge, that joy, that upliftment, wherever and whenever the opportunity arises. Amen. Now I'm going to hand over to David for his reading, followed by his address. Thank you, sir.
Well, the reading I'd like to share with you this morning comes from a book called Benedictus. It's a book of blessings by an Irish author and poet by the name of John O'Donoghue. And seeing as it's Father's Day today, I thought it would be perfectly appropriate to have a look and see what blessing he had for a father. So this is called For a Father. I will share it with you, providing you don't, well, you promise not to cry. The longer we live, the more of your presence we find laid down, weave upon weave within our lives. The quiet constancy of your gentleness drew no attention to itself, yet filled our home with a climate of kindness where each mind felt free to seek its own direction. As the fields of distance opened inside childhood, your presence was a sheltering tree where our fledgling hearts could rest. The earth seemed to trust your hands as they tilled the soil, put in the seed, and gathered the lonely stones. Something in you loved to inquire in the neighbourhood of air, searching its transparent rooms for the fallen glances of God. The warmth and wonder of your prayer opened our eyes to glimpse the subtle ones who are eternally there. Whenever, silently, in off moments, the beauty of the whole thing overcame you, you would gaze quietly out upon us, the look from your eyes like a kiss alighting on skin. There are many things we could have said, but words never wanted to name them. And perhaps a world that is quietly sensed across the air in another's heart becomes the inner companion to one's unknown. How about a little bit of history to begin with? Yeah. I had to look up on the internet to find out when Father's Day was kind of invented, because I suddenly realised that I didn't have the first idea when this thing that we call Father's Day actually started. And you might be surprised to know that it's a relatively recent addition to our calendar. And it started off in the United States, like a lot of these things do, back in 1910. But it didn't become an official kind of recognised day until as recently as 1972. So I don't know what we did before 1972, but ever since then, I'm sure the likes of Hallmark and Moonpig and other such enterprises love the fact that we have this thing called Father's Day. Well, I am both a father and a grandfather. And I was reflecting on the way down here this morning that being a father is quite like life itself, in that you come into the experience and there is no set of instructions, there is no manual of guidance. You kind of have to make it up as you go along, doing your very best, hoping for the best, sometimes getting it right, and perhaps on other occasions getting it not quite so right. And that would certainly explain why it is, as a medium, and I'm sure Lawrence and other mediums will have experienced this, that in those moments of communication when fathers come through, yes, there can be those times where the message is, as it were, laden and overflowing with this abundance of love and affection. But there can also be those other times when the father is making it clear that there is a great sense of regret at things that may have been said, things may have been done, or things not done. And there is that seeking of forgiveness in essence. And in that moment of that expression, that seeking of forgiveness, there are the seeds of growth for that father, but also the seeds of growth for us as an individual to grow and to learn in our and through our capacity to forgive. So there is that recognition there that as fathers, as we all are, we are not perfect, that we are human beings engaged in this life, doing our best to guide, to inspire, to instill the right kind of qualities in our children, to equip them, to help them on their journey as they go through life. And perhaps one of the hardest lessons I've certainly encountered as a father, and I'm sure this isn't probably unique to me, it applies equally to mothers also. But there comes a point in the life of your child, your children, when they are, as it were, adults, and you have to kind of let them go. I don't mean emotionally, but you have to kind of recognize that they are now this adult, and their life ahead is just that. It is their life, and it is about their choices, and we have to be comfortable and able, as it were, to have confidence in them and to let them go, to make their choices, hopefully make good choices, but recognize also, just as we have made choices, some of which have worked out and others perhaps haven't, that they too will have that opportunity to experience life in all its richness and in all its fullness. And as I was thinking about this further, again I could see the very similar comparison that could be drawn, as it were, with our relationship to what we perceive as God. We know, I'm sure some of you will be familiar, within CSNU spiritualism, they have the 7 principles of spiritualism. And the first principle is the fatherhood of God. Now I recognize that the wording, the language is somewhat antiquated for today's world, and the reference to fatherhood is very much a sign of the times for when that was communicated and when it was put to writing, which was back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. But in the fatherhood of God, we are recognizing, we are affirming that behind of us, behind of all life, behind of all creation, there is a creative power. There is a creative force. There is a creative intelligence. And I don't think it really matters how we define, how we imagine that thing called God to be. But the starting point for all of us, I believe, embarked on that spiritual journey, is to recognize and to affirm that there is something, there is this creative power behind all life, behind us. And we could perhaps take this analogy a little further and imagine that we come into this life, as it were, from the spirit world. And as we are born into this life, we are a bit like children who have come of age. We've been given the keys to creation, quite literally, because we are endowed with that quality of free will. So we come into this life with all the opportunities that it affords us, as it were, granted by the grace of God. with free will. And I've no doubt that that power that we recognise and affirm as God, although not in a personal human form, will want what we want for our children. He will want us to grow, to develop, to experience the richness and fullness of life, to make decisions of our own accord. And that's the opportunity that this life, of course, is affording each and every one of us, whether we are a mother, a father, a brother, or a sister. It doesn't really matter. The important thing that we recognise is, first and foremost, that we are alive. We are in this life. And to ask ourselves, are we in this life through accident, or is it through choice? And if it's through choice, then that surely must imply that there is a purpose behind this life. So what is that purpose? We could probably spend all of today and the rest of the coming week debating and discussing what that purpose may be. But at the most fundamental level, and we've already mentioned this in the healing part of the service, it starts with what our conception of what this thing called God is. And my conception of God is that it is a God of love. That the word God, spirit and consciousness are interchangeable. When we use the word spirit, we are talking about love. When we speak about the word love, we are talking about consciousness. We are talking about God. They all meld into one. And in the same way as we inherit the genes and the DNA of our father and our mother, so too do we inherit the qualities of that creative power, that creative force that brought us into life. And if that creative power, that creative force is one of love, surely then that is our essence, that is our true nature. And therefore our journey through this life should be a journey that is committed to the realization and the revelation, the manifestation of love. And I know if the spirit world were able to wave a magic wand right here and now in this moment and put a newborn baby in each of your arms right here and now at this moment, it doesn't matter whether you've never been a mother or never been a father. It doesn't matter where that child came from, who it was, as it were. I know within my heart that you would have nothing but love for that child. You could not allow any harm to come to that child. And that is an expression of love. And that therefore shows and reveals, I believe, very clearly what our true essence is. Our true essence is love. And so as we journey through this life, if we're looking for a purpose, there are many kind of diversions, there are many tracks that we can go down. But fundamentally, our journey is and should be a journey of love. To allow ourselves to become the fullest, the brightest example and emanation of love. You might think, well, that's a pretty tall order, David. How do I go about doing that? Well, of course, it starts with ourselves. Can we love ourselves? Do we love ourselves? If you had to plot here and now on a scale of 1 to 10, the degree of love you have for yourself, where would that be? And to perhaps ask yourself that question. If it's not 10, why is that so? I've no doubt that in most cases our fathers did, as I said, the very best that they were able to. That perhaps barring maybe some small exceptions, that their motivations and their intention towards us were loving, that they wanted the best for us, however imperfectly that may have been manifested in our life. And we too, as parents now, have that opportunity, that obligation and that duty to those that we have care for. But to bring this address to a close, I perhaps ask the question, is it wise, do you think, to have a day set aside to regard as Father's Day? Is it wise to have another day set aside to regard as Mother's Day? Should we confine our admiration, our love, our respect, our recognition, as it were, to one day of the year? It begs the question, if we think on that bigger scale, what is our relationship to that thing called God? Do we reserve our relationship to that power to the one day a week possibly that we might come to church? Or is God a living reality within each and every day, in each and every moment of our lives? So that is the opportunity that we have. And you can probably guess which side of the table I am on. I would do away with these special days, as it were, and I would encourage us all to perhaps be a bit more mindful, to live in the moment of each day, recognising and honouring not just the part that mothers and fathers play in our lives, but all people. For one thing is very clear to me, that despite the appearances of being separate, despite the appearances of there being time and distance between us, we are all in effect brothers and sisters, united in one family, and that family is named love. I'll leave those words with you.
Lovely. Thank you very much, David. That was beautiful. I'm sure there's a lot of card firms on the online now unfriending the church, but never mind. Really good. Thank you so much, David. We now move on to our piece of music today. If you wish to sing along, please do. Read the words, whatever. During this time, Sue will be taking the collection for the further work of this your church.
Creatures of our God and King.
Wonderful. We now come to that time of the service where we celebrate this knowledge, this understanding, belief, whichever you hold, that life is continual, that we close our eyes for the briefest of moment in this world and open them again to a new and wondrous world reborn. This is this time of communication, and with all communication, it is important that you take part of it. You are not here as spectators. You are here, you are the service. Your love, your energy, your presence has brought forward all those eager to share this time and to say, hello, I'm okay, and I love you. So be part of that communication with our medium today. So should David come to you, a nice clear response with a yes, a no, or a maybe to enhance that communication. So it's a
Yes.
I'm going to hand over to the wonderful David. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, Laurie said it all, so I don't need to kind of repeat that. The only thing else I would add is if you can resist the temptation to give me information, because if you start telling me about your friends and loved ones, what's going to happen is I'm going to come and sit in your chair, you're going to come up here, and you're going to give me a message. Okay, so unless you're up for that, yes, no, or not sure. I do feel I'm being pulled in a couple of different directions, but I'd like to start by coming to the lady. Yeah, if I may please. I'm aware of a gentleman here that's with me. This gentleman feels round about my kind of height, maybe a little bit taller. I know as I'm standing here, he's kind of wanting to get my shoulders back and get me stood up straight. So I know this is a man who would have taken a pride in his appearance. He would have taken a pride in his work. This is not a man who would have cut corners, who would have been slapdash in any shape or form, because I just feel, as I said, if things are going to be done, it needs to be done kind of properly, and you would see that, you would feel that in the man's appearance and in his manner. I know this man is very straightforward in his ways, and I know also this man would be very much of, if you give your word, if you say that you're doing that, that's what you're going to do. There'd be no backing out, there'd be no, changing tune, as it were. I do feel close to you with this gentleman. He doesn't feel to be an especially elderly man, though, before he's passed to the spirit, because I do feel, like I've been sort of chopped before my time. This is how he makes me feel. And you could understand this gentleman. Let me just check. You do, thank you. I said he was a very straightforward man, but this is not a man without care and sensitivity, because I can feel that in him. So he may have given this appearance of being, very straightforward and very sort of upright, but there is this gentleness there within him. I'm not saying he was necessarily embedded in this, but I feel he would have had an open mind to it.
He did, yeah.
Because I just feel this great sense of wonder that he's kind of sharing with me from his experience now that he's in spirit world. But he's saying to me that the ground was prepared. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So whether you would have spoken to him or whether he would have made his own inquiries, but it wasn't such a great shock. That's what he's saying to me.
Yeah.
Okay, he kind of knew what was coming, and as much as that we can know. Not saying this is his name, but I need to mention the name Ted. Would you understand Ted, please? There should also be Bill. Can you understand Bill? Thank you. Well, if you allow Ted maybe just to percolate, would there be an army connection? I'm not saying necessarily with the gentleman, but you understand why he's taken my mind to connections with the army.
There is, yeah,
Within the family, yeah. And would I be right in saying, please, there's a photograph, I'm being shown like a photograph that it's like a regimental photograph, a picture, with all the kind of ranks lined up, but this must be something that's either prominent or it has a special kind of memory.
Yeah.
You can place that because he's just putting this picture into my mind. Okay. He's wanting to acknowledge also there'd be a birthday, please, either just past or just coming up. Got to give you the name of John also. You'd understand John.
No, John.
You know John, thank you. Okay, so why the gentleman's here? If I was to talk to you about needing to get your feet up, you'd know what I'm talking about, wouldn't you?
That'd be good.
Yeah. Because I was just saying to him, you know, what do we need to be saying? What's the message here? And I literally wanted to sit back down again and sort of put my feet up and have a bit of TLC with a cup of tea and a couple of custard creams. So this is very much his prescription for you, okay, in that loving, caring way. Because he's saying to me, you're the kind of person who hasn't got an off button.
True.
That it's, you know, everybody else, there's like a long line of others and you might think about yourself at the very end, but it's very rare. And he's just wanting to encourage you to, a bit of self-care and TLC, getting the feet up, allow people to fuss over you. All right. You should be able to place a light-coloured dog for me, like a Labrador Retriever, the kind of colouring.
Yeah, there are dogs, but they're usually darker.
Okay, well if this one's not for you, we've got to find a home for this lovely Lab Retriever because it's a light-coloured dog that's kind of up here. Okay. Just before I go, would you also be able to place a young child, please, a boy that would have passed to the spirit world at a young age that would connect in and around the family?
Yeah.
Thank you, because as I've got this lovely gentleman here, I'm just aware of the young boy that's by the side, and I know they're together because they're kind of hand in hand.
Yeah.
He brings all his love and healing also for you. So can I
That's lovely.
leave this gentleman's love? We'll get the dog placed in a minute, so don't worry about him, and the young boy. So thank you for working
Thank you
with
very
me.
much.
Thank you. Quick drink of water. I managed to burn the roof of my mouth last night and it feels like sore. You know that feeling. But, there we are. Okay, where are we going? Could I come to the lady over here, please? Up against the wall there. I'm aware of a gentleman here that's with me. This gentleman is taller than myself. I feel to be carrying quite a bit more weight, but I feel quite breathless with this man. I feel like I would have, you know, had to have kind of taken the weight, and I just feel breathless. And by the time he's got to the spirit world, it's like, do you know what, I've been wrung out. That's the kind of feeling that he gives me. So when that time came, and as Laurie was saying before, it is like the closing of an eye for the briefest of moments. It would have been a blessed relief for this gentleman, because it's like he'd borne it well, but by the time we got to the end, he'd had enough. That's what he's wanting to kind of say. I do feel very much like I want to be connecting with Dad, please. Could you understand, Dad? Thank you. And I know, as I've got your dad here, you would have had a close relationship with your dad, because I feel not only a little tear in my eye, but I can feel almost like my heart is being pulled out over there to you. You know, he's just, not that he's saying you need reassurance, but I'm wanting to reassure you that love is still as strong and as profound as it ever was. Your dad would have had quite a quirky sense of humour, verging on, I don't quite get that, but I know also it could have been a little prone to be on the kind of risky side. Yeah, I would have enjoyed that humour, and he's not telling me any jokes, but I can just feel that slightly naughty slightly quirky humour.
Sarcastic.
Sorry?
Sarcastic.
Yeah, that's the word. Okay. I feel very much with your dad that it's a well-trodden path between you and him. So this wouldn't be the first time that you've had communication from your dad, and it's almost to the extent that you don't need a medium. You know what I'm talking about. It's a well-trodden path. So I know your dad would frequently be in your thoughts, and vice versa. And it is, I do feel a bit like a spare part up here at the moment with your dad, because it's that close. Your dad also, I believe, would have been very good with his hands. I feel a very practical application with your dad. And can I say, I got vegetables, I got beetroots and all sorts. Yeah, you'd understand. He would have grown vegetables and what have you. But he's talking to me about a situation, because if you're growing vegetables, you've got to get your hands dirty, haven't you? But you must understand a situation where you're being backing off. You're not getting your hands in, as it were. You're not getting stuck in. And your dad's kind of stood on the sidelines like this. You know, it's like, well, come on, get on with it. Because I feel that would have been his nature. You know, he would have been an encouraging father in that way. At times a little on the blunt side, because I got a plain speaking man. What you saw is very much what you got with your dad. But you know, sometimes if we have too much water in the soil, it can go all muddy and get like a quagmire. Well, he's saying you're in a bit of a quagmire, dear. Yeah, with love. And I feel very much that's why your dad's around you today, and has been, just to bring that encouragement for you to move on, as it were. I also believe we'd have Mum here, but as we put Mum and Dad together, there's a considerable height difference between the pair of them, because it's like little and large almost. You'd understand that.
My mum lost both of her legs.
Oh, okay, sorry. Your dad put this picture into my mind, and I'm not saying your dad was 6'6", but if your dad was 6'6", your mum was like 4 foot, you know. Okay, forgive me then, but that's what how he put it across to me. All right, I'll have to remember that for next time. Your mind never goes to that possibility, does it? But thank you for sharing that with me. So yeah, but your mum's here with legs, very much so. Your mum and your dad, in some ways you would have thought, how were they together? Because they're very different kettles of fish. Your mum is a lot more kind of sort of composed and serious and sort of straight down the line, as it were, and your dad's more on the lovable rogue kind of end of the spectrum. But I know your mum, in a very quiet way, would have been very perceptive. You know, I'm not saying she would have necessarily done the tea leaves and all that kind of stuff, but she had that kind of, whether you want to call it second sight or whatever it is, but I know very much she would have been inclined that way. And again, just as your dad was kind of, I think this is linked, your mum is kind of reflecting and pointing the finger, and she's saying, like, you know what you've got, you know what the ability is. And it's like, well, you're getting looks over here from Laurie as well. We must be on the right track. You know it's there, you know what it's all about. And I keep on checking the clock, but I know she's kind of saying, you know, the hands of time, they're whirring around. So it's like, sort of don't be leaving it too late. I know I gave, I think, a Ted before, but you'd understand Ted, please. Yeah. And I'd also want Tom.
Yes.
And you'd know William also.
Yes.
And we need to mention Elizabeth.
My mother's siblings.
All right, thank you. Well, they all just kind of rolled there. And would you understand, this is very random, but I need to give it, would you understand why I'm being shown it's either a duck or a goose?
There is a story.
Okay, we probably haven't got time for the whole story, but as long as you can understand why that's been shown. So maybe that's your dad's humour coming back in, but that's lovely. Thank you for taking that, because it's so easy when you see these things to think, nah, that can't be so.
No, not going there.
So can I leave your mum and dad's love with you? There's a little dog also, please.
I've had loads of dogs.
Yeah, I was going to say it's gone a bit like Crufts up here at the
Yes.
moment, but there's lots of little dogs all kind of running around. We still haven't got the light coloured retriever lab place, so we'll have to get that one sorted. All right. So can I leave mum and dad's love with you, and thank you for working with me. Thank you. I come to the lady with the lovely pinky dress on. Yes, if I may please. I've actually feel I've got two communicators here with me. I've got a gentleman that is taller than me. I want a man who would have been quite lean in his build. Again, I feel a man who would have taken care in his appearance and his presentation. I know this man would have had, still has, a very good mind. I want a good level of education with this man, and I know he would have been a very thoughtful. His speech and his words would have been very considered, because I want a man who would have thought very clearly before he spoke. So that's the kind of character I have. I'm not saying he was a teacher, but he very much has the kind of aura of, you know, what I would regard as like an old school teacher, somebody who I would find it very easy to naturally defer to. Not that they were authoritarian in any shape or form, but you know, some people just have this kind of energy, have this kind of aura, and this gentleman very much has that in bucket loads. I do feel like I want to be connecting either with a father, or if this is not father, it's a grandfather, but it would have to be a close grandfather. So would that make sense, please? Thank you. He's got charm by the bucket load also, could I say. This is a very charming and a very natural, gentle man in his ways. And he's got this inordinate amount of pride and love for you. Because as I feel this gentleman here with me, it's like he's holding up a mirror, and it's like I can see, or he can see so much of you, his characters in him, and vice versa. And there's just this lovely, beautiful, let's say, pride that is so. Would I be right in saying, I said this man had a very good mind, but he would have been an avid reader, wanting to acquire knowledge and understanding?
Probably.
Okay, all right. As do you. As do you. That's where he wants to go with this. It's like you've been knocking on doors now for quite some time. This is what he's talking to me about. I don't mean literally, you know, physical doors, but doors of understanding. And if I was to say to you, you'd understand that there's still knocking going on, as it were, because there's something that is yet to fall into place, as it were. And this lovely gentleman is wanting to acknowledge and to encourage you that, yes, keep on knocking, but don't ever be disillusioned that that final piece, as it were, hasn't seemingly fallen into place. Okay, so it's a little bit cryptic, but that's kind of what he's wanting to put across. Not the light-coloured dog, but can you place a black dog for me? Okay, because where this black dog here that wants to be acknowledged. But also, if I am shown a black dog by the Spirit, sometimes it can be just literally a black dog. But could you also understand why I need to mention low mood or depression, anything like that?
Yes.
You'd understand, okay, because that's just been raised there. I need to talk about June. June, so that's either the name or the month of June. Would you understand the particular significance of June, please? If we're going with the month, I know we can't be that far off, but would you understand the 21st of June? That's only about 3 days' time, isn't it, I think? Monday, yeah.
Can't think of the minute.
Okay. If you happen to win the lottery on the 21st of June, will you just remember who told you? And I can be your new best friend. We'll maybe allow that one to kind of have a little bit of percolation. Very randomly also, but would you understand why Blackpool is being mentioned?
Not at the moment. No.
Okay. My mind would say that there may be connections with dancing.
All right.
Would you understand connections, memories, associations with dancing?
Yes.
Okay. Again, it's slightly kind of cryptic, but he's kind of glad to see that you haven't hung up your dancing shoes. All right?
Yes.
And that's more about your energy for life as opposed to physically. If you're still going dancing, that's wonderful, but it's more about your energy and engagement. That's what he's wanting just to acknowledge there. Henry is being called also. Could you place Henry for me? Okay, so there's 2 bits of homework there,
Yes.
21st of June and Henry. If they both drop into place, well, hopefully you can let me know next time I come down. All right, lovely. Thank you for working with me. We've got time for one more? Yeah, yeah. Okay. Some mediums say they see little blue lights over people's heads.
I wish.
I've never seen that. Seen little blue lights in rear view mirrors on occasions, but now come to the lady here, please. Thank you. I'm aware of a gentleman here that's with me, and again, I'd feel this gentleman to be a bit taller than myself, which I know isn't that terribly difficult, but I do feel to be taller with this gentleman. I have to say, I don't feel this man would have made old bones. Again, I do feel, I always kind of struggle with ages, and I shouldn't say that because I'm just reaffirming that belief, but this is not an elderly man before he's passed to the spirit world. I still feel as if I have all of my kind of faculties intact, but if this man was sort of 60s, that would be the kind of upper age feeling I'd have with this man. Again, I do feel like I want to be connecting with a father or somebody who would be like as a father to you, because I feel paternalistic towards you. I do feel quite a quiet man in my nature, a little bit on the reserved side, I would say. So let me just check, does this man make sense to you, please? Could you understand? I said I feel a bit taller. This is not an elderly man. Little on the quiet side, a little bit reserved. That's how I kind of am feeling him at the present.
Could be brother, but not father.
Okay, but would you understand then, if this is brother, how I feel to you?
Yes.
I'm not trying to make this fit, but I feel like a father would to their daughter. And I know brothers can act, as it were, almost like a father to us, but that's how I'm kind of feeling towards you. And don't give me the age, but you'd understand, as I said, that this is not an elderly man before I've passed. Okay, because I still, I certainly haven't gone grey. You know, I don't feel that. I still feel as if I've got, you know, yeah, hair, and it's not all grey and, you know, I haven't got wrinkles and all that kind of stuff. I do feel he has this a very gentle manner to him. As I said, he does feel to be a little quiet, a little reserved. But once you kind of got through that initial sense of being reserved, there is this warmth, there is this affection that I feel. So this is not a man who was kind of all clammed up and isolated and unable to show or affection. Just the opposite. I do feel that capacity, but you would have to be kind of close to this person to have known and to have felt and to experience that.
I understand why you're saying that, yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
I can understand.
Thank you. I do also feel that with your brother, that I don't know how to put this, but I feel I'm in my head a lot. So I feel, you know, I said he was quiet and reserved. I do feel that he would have been, you know, not necessarily on flights of fancy, but would have been very.
Away with the fairies.
That's one way to put it. I was struggling there, but I didn't want to kind of put it quite like that. But you'd understand that's what we're going to. But you would have seen eye to eye with your brother. There would have been a kind of an understanding there, because I can just feel that with him. That's, you know, I just feel you would have had insights into your brother, and he equally would have had insights to you. May not been spoken about, but it's like we're on the same wavelength.
Yes.
You know, we can go through life and we can have times when we're like that, and times when it's like that, and times when we're all over the place. And you'd understand that it's been a rough ride of late.
Yes, it's been a challenge of late.
Yeah, because I'm just asking your brother, you know, why, what's the message? Why is he here? And he's making me aware of this sense of turbulence, of this being, you know, all over the place, as it were. So he's been around, is around, wanting to bring a steadying, a calming influence around you. Would I be right in saying that Dad would be in spirit, but Dad was a little bit distant, either emotionally or physically?
Everything, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I said when your brother first came in, I felt fatherly towards you. It's almost like your brother filled the shoes,
Yes.
as it were, of Dad, who wasn't present for whatever reason. I'm sure you do speak to the Spirit, but he's wanting to reassure you and to encourage you to ask for help. Okay, there is, you know, he's saying there is no shame in asking for help, because you'd be one of these people who kind of, you know, the roof might have blown off, the kitchen might be flooded, there might be fire in the back garden, and you'll be like, yeah, we'll sort it out. But there's no harm, there's no difficulty in asking for help, and there are people who will give it. Okay?
Okay.
That's what he's wanting to kind of say
That's
to
very
you.
nice, thank
Let me just check in with you, because I've still got this light-coloured dog. We haven't placed him.
The Labrador can place.
You can place, but it'd be a light-coloured dog, not a dark one.
The white one.
White. Well, that's kind of close enough. So I'll let you take the dog home with you. Otherwise, I'm going to have a boot full of strays and all sorts coming home with me. So can I leave your brother's love with you? I do feel that Dad, as I said, I know he was kind of absent, but I'm just aware of that energy, just at the kind of peripheral of my awareness. And I know it's difficult, but he's putting into my hand, I've got a bunch of blue flowers, and I just need to give those to you. All right?
Thank you.
All right, so I'll leave his love with you and your brother and the dog. Okay, thank you very much. ladies and gentlemen, I'm just about out of time and probably out of puff. So can I thank you for your love and support for making those messages possible. So thank you.
Lovely. Thank you so much, David.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Now move on to the notices. We've got an additional item to this month's calendar. On Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, we've got a gentleman down from Scotland, Tom Anderson, who is a physical medium. This is a branch of mediumship we rarely see or rarely hear about these days, but it's where the spirit world interact with the physical world in the mediumship. So Tom will be here giving a talk on physical mediumship at 7 o'clock. On Wednesday we have our healing day, no we don't, we have our circle day. I'm so lost in that last message, I'm sorry, the energy was woo. On Wednesday we have our circle day, so at 3 o'clock we have our healing circle, which is open to all. That runs as a meditation circle and for about 20 minutes, and after which the church healers are available for healing. And in the evening we have our open circle. Now our open circle is a meditation-led circle. It is a very passive energy. It's to help people just take time out from this world. It's to help people start maybe learn to go forward with their circle work. And that starts at 7 o'clock in the evening. I must say on the open circle, it's not a message-led circle. It is a very passive energy because it's about meditation, whereas mediumship is a very active energy. So it's just to get you down, get you chilled, go off with the meditation, and maybe open the doors to future circle work. So that's Wednesday night at 7. Thursday we have our holistic health day. We have 3-chair yoga with a lovely Deb who is with us today. That's from 11:15 till 12, but during the day from 11 o'clock till 3:30 we have a Reiki practitioner, a reflexologist, Deb with a wonderful machine giving you an idea of what's going on in your body with your minerals and vitamin balances. And we also have, I can see him, remind me. Brian. Thank you. So, Brian Walker is a psychic surgeon and healer coming over from Portsmouth. So that's this Thursday between 11 and 3:30. Do you find that as a medium? You get images?
Yes.
Yeah, and you're sort of like,
Well,
I can
it's
see
just-
these people.
Yeah.
I have no idea what they're called. Anyway, so that's
Old
his.
age.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I used to say no, but I'm afraid I'm beginning to agree. So that's this Thursday, and next Sunday we have Darren Orlowski back with us to take the Sunday morning service. Going forward a bit in the month, on Friday the 30th, again additional to this month's programme, we have an evening of evidential mediumship with Craig Morris, who is with us, and that has a cost of £8 on the door. And also, going forward a bit further, Saturday the 8th of July, we have a workshop with Stephen Trolland and private sittings with Susan that just seems salt and pepper. Susan Brotherwood Hughes, who is over from Ireland. And on Sunday the 9th of July we have our rally day. We tried this last year and it was phenomenal. It was a really good day. So the day will kick off at 10:30, 10 o'clock. Oh God, I'll just sit down and hand it over to you, mate. I'll do the mediumship, you do the notices. All right. The service will be at 10 o'clock that morning, running through to 11:30. The service will be taken by all the speakers of the day. So we have Elaine Bevin, Mark Stone, Stephen Trolland, Susan Brothwood Hughes, Anne-Marie Hogan. They will be taking our service in all its parts, and during the day there will be various talks from each of these people. So really good day, long day, very busy. Rounds off in the evening, there is a demonstration of mediumship from Stephen Trolland, Susan Hughes, Anne-Marie Hogan and Mark Stone. So yeah, have a look. It's all out on our website, on our Facebook page, and we will be having flyers for that shortly. I'm going to hand over now because I've messed that up totally. So I'm going to hand over to David to recover the day. Thank you.
Let's join together once more and close in prayer. Great Spirit of love and light, as we now draw our service to a close, we do so with heartfelt and humble thanks for this opportunity to have joined with one another and those of our friends and loved ones who have been able to join with us and through their messages demonstrate that great and eternal truth that there is no death but that of the body. And we ask that as we each now go our separate ways, that we may be kept safe and well, that we may forever be guided and inspired to walk in pathways of light, of love, of service to one another, and that each in their own way may become that fullest, most brightest example of your light and of your love. And so, until we meet again, we leave ourselves forever in your care and in your keeping. Amen.
Amen. David, thank you so much for the service today. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for being here on this special day. Wherever our fathers are, whether they be near or far, you can always send out that love. You can always send out that thought. In the meantime, as I say, life is here for the living. So we've got a beautiful day. We live in a beautiful part of the countryside. We have parks and seaside and everything going on. Go out and enjoy it. Thank you. Are you all right for people to talk? Are you all right for people to talk with it?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah.